It's all I got. It's all I got. All I got is all I.
Welcome to another episode of Factored In Essential Game for the Modern Man. This is episode 5. Took a little vacation there. Time to readjust. This YouTube thing is new to me, man. I'm not a fucking creator. You know what I mean? Although I create content, and my team and me do a lot of motivational shorts and stuff like that. Our intention is to basically give you something if you're in that place where it's like you're in a dark place, or you don't feel like going to the gym, or you don't feel like doing what you got to do today. It's our intention to give you something that's going to push you towards being able to do that little extra something that it might take for you, just to get over that fucking hump. It doesn't take a whole fucking hell of a lot to get you past these fucking sticking points, if you will, in life. Sometimes it just takes somebody kind of recognizing that you're dealing with one. I deal with that like a lot. Um, I always say, like, people think I'm Superman because I look like Clark Kent. It's something I always say. Not that I really think I look like Clark Kent, but I mean, like, people see me being buff. A lot of people, like, especially my East Coast people, like, they've never seen me. They never got to see me in a wheelchair. They never got to see me, with fucking no mobility in my arms. You know what I mean? Unable to walk, unable to function. They didn't see that part. That was done during my own journey out in the woods of Washington State. You know, um, and it went from, like, you know basically walking every day to get the mail, which was about 30 feet away. It would take me about 3 hours, I think, to get there and back. But I would do that every day, and that was what I did to start to put myself back together. I was dealing with a lot of just fucked up shit, and I had to. But that was, and now people see me, and I'm fit. I go to the gym a lot, so people translate that to, like, this guy's like super strong, uh, and all good. And it's so funny because, like, man, like, if you see somebody going into to the fucking gym 2 3 times a day, like, that's like a cry for help, man. That's somebody's in trouble. Now, I don't do that 3 times a day shit, but I definitely go there every night, and I definitely bottle my emotions there. And this podcast is not about perfection. It's not about me projecting myself onto the world as like some perfect person who's got it all figured out. This is, although we call it, factored in essential game for the modern man. This is just like a fucking this is a record of my struggle. This is a tell all where I don't hold back, you know. And, like, you're always worried that you're gonna worry people when you say shit. You can't be. You gotta like tell people how it is. You gotta say the things that they don't want to hear. And you also have to protect yourself from those people if they're refusing to adhere to those things that you just can't have in your life. That shit is not easy. Um, Putting yourself into isolation is never going to be an easy thing, especially for somebody who's been incarcerated. Like, if you've been incarcerated, you spend a lot of time in isolation. Now, don't get me wrong, there's benefits from that. I would never want to give up the things that I've been able to achieve and the things that I've learned during those years that I spent by myself in a prison cell. But it's super hard because, like, the fucked up thing about prison is, while yes, you are isolated from the world and your family, you are constantly, and this is like 99% of people who are incarcerated, you're constantly with somebody the whole time. You always have a guy sitting on the bottom bunk, top bunk, the bunk across from you, or both sometimes, depending where you're at. And yes, you're isolated from the world and your family and stuff, but having that person with you all the time, when you come home, like, let me tell you something. For me, like, being by myself is probably one of the hardest things that I do. Although I do it a lot, you know. And that's just because it's one of the hardest things I do doesn't mean that I don't, I'm not gonna have to do it a lot. That's a fucking fact of life, man. A lot of times the hardest things that we have to do are the things we have to deal with most, you know. But yeah, so it's really hard for me as somebody who is, like, I would venture to say, deathly scared of being by myself on an internal level. Now, again, it's really important to remember, like, what we do with fear is like the difference between courageousness and not, you know. Just because I fear a thing, I fear dealing with my emotions. And I used to react by doing drugs and running from them. But today I don't. I deal with them. Yeah, I'm scared of them. Yeah, they frighten me sometimes, but I face them. And that's like the most important part about it. You know what I mean? It's the difference between whether you're going to succeed or whether you're going to fail. I think it's just dealing with the emotional baggage that comes with all the shit we've been through as addicts and as people who have been incarcerated, or just people who are people in general living in today's society. If you're watching this and you haven't ever been locked up or you haven't ever been a drug addict, that doesn't mean there's nothing here for you. There's definitely still something here for you. We are all dealing with fucked up shit. Uh more and more too, you know. Um I just think it's really important to kind of have that understanding. And like I said, it's not it's not about not being afraid. It's about what you do in the face of fear. You know, we all have heard that saying, and it is fucking true. You know, but again, like I said, it's one of the hardest things I have to do to isolate myself from people who I know love me, who care about me, but don't fully understand the beast that I deal with. I have to kind of step back from them. And I've done that on some levels that are really fucking hard for me, you know? It's part of what it takes to, continue to have the success that I'm trying to have, that I am having in my life. Um, that shit doesn't come easy, you know? So, but like, I just, I think it's really important to say that. I don't want people to think, I don't want you to think that I'm out here trying to basically like always flex on people, or I'm trying to motivate you. You know what I mean? If I can do it, you can fucking do it. That's what I'm telling you when I'm dropping these shorts, or if I'm sitting here in a podcast titled Essential Game for the Modern Man. Like, who the fuck am I to give you essential game? But the way that I'm giving it to you is by letting you see my struggle, allowing you to see when it's not easy for me. If you can see that and you can see the way that I continue to go forward and continue to move, maybe you'll pick up on that game. And that's just what God put in my heart about this. It wasn't to say, like, I wasn't to try to flex on people. It wasn't trying to make anybody feel bad or anything like that. I hope that nobody thinks that, you know, um, let me tell you something. I've fucked it up every which way you can fuck it up. And I mean everything, you know. But I came back swinging. I always get the fuck up. I've always gotten the fuck up, and that's what this is about. You know, I think it's really important. Like, if you just came home, it's really important to kind of like, and I hate doing this shit, but prioritizing on, like, just make a list. It could be a weekly list, it could be a fucking daily list, or it could be, you know, a month, your goals for the month, whatever it is, but just kind of keeping that drive alive, if you will, and looking at what you are trying to accomplish and how you're going to do it, and knowing how you're going to do it. Um because it's easy to get lost out here, man. It really is. And then you're not used to dealing with all these people and their shit and their agendas for everything. Everybody out here has a fucking an agenda. They have a motive, and it's not necessarily like a bad thing. It could be like just like some, this person likes hanging out with you. Their motive is or their agenda is they want to be around you more because your energy is a certain vibe for them, and and that's that. And but in doing that, maybe you're not hanging out with yourself enough, and you're not doing your shit enough. Um, I've definitely had that go on for me. uh I've definitely been in the situations where I was putting things to the wayside and not handling the small shit that I needed to handle to be working at, the most optimal level that I need to be at. That's the thing for me. Like, I always tell people, like, yo, this shit for me is fragile. It doesn't mean it's gonna break right now or that I'm ever gonna break again. Who knows? But it means that I gotta protect it as if it's just the most fragile thing in the world. And it's so hard to get people who haven't been there to understand that, or even people that like have seen somebody go through it themselves but still never been through it personally. It's so crazy how like you want to get out here, you want to start doing things, you want to live life, but you got to do the work. And if you've done any of the work, then you start to see how people, when you start to really like, it gets really fucking loud when people haven't done the work. And it's just, you start to be able to see when people haven't done the work, and then to be it gets to be so hard to not notice it. But I think that's part of compassion as well. Like, you got to have compassion for people as well, to a certain extent. Like, my thing is, like, you haven't done the work and you're reacting to this thing bad, like, and if you don't know what I mean by like doing the work means reading self-help books. You didn't have a fucking father figure who was around. If you were in trouble all the fucking time, the likelihood of you having parents who parented well is pretty fucking slim to none. Now, I'm not saying anything against people who did. That's what's up. God blessed you in that respect, and that's cool. But like for me, like, my mom was always working. I didn't have a fucking father figure. So it was a necessity for me to be sat down at some point. And it just so happened that the way that happened was prison. But to be sat down at some point and forced to go through those lessons, and the way that I did it was reading shit like, Muhammad Ali's books, a couple different books that were written about him, a couple different books that he helped write. uh, Nelson Mandela. I even read like Benjamin Franklin's, JFK, LBJ, Jackie Kennedy, fucking Bernie Sanders, Barack Obama. Uh, wouldn't read anything from George Bush. Just, yeah. Anyway, people's history of the world, the 48 Laws of Power, everything from Robert Greene that you can fucking get your hands on. Great stuff. And people talk a lot of shit on that, like, oh yeah, the 48 Laws of Power just so you can manipulate people. No, no, dumbass. The 48 Laws of Power enables you to see when people are manipulating you, and it enables you to have the tools needed to not let that happen. The thing about the world and reality is that so many people are out for their own agendas, so much so that they will run you into the fucking ground. That's why when you're getting into recovery, you got to like start to separate yourself from different addicts, because certain people in addiction don't give a fuck if what you're talking about with that sober shit. They don't care about that. I need a bag right now. Yeah, fuck if you got 30 days clean. You got $20 in your fucking hand, and I know I can convince you to go get a fucking bag. I don't give a fuck if you're sober. Fuck that sober shit. That's where they're at. And that's why you have to start separating yourself from people like that. And it goes so much deeper than that. It could be a girl that you're dating. She doesn't give a fuck if you don't, meal prep and, get to bed by fucking 9 to 10 o'clock or something like that. If that's what that's literally what it takes for you to function go to work, go to full-time job and bust your ass to the point that, you're able to excel in that job, plus go to the fucking gym so you can handle the emotional shit you're dealing with. Excuse me. But these people don't give a fuck because they don't see how the importance, or sometimes they don't care about the importance. But oftentimes outside of like addiction and shit, it's just that people just don't see the importance. It's not that they don't care, it's just that they don't see it. But even that is just as bad. And I think like that's like so critical for somebody to understand. Like if you're somebody who has a addict as a loved one and you're watching this, like maybe that's what you can get from this is like, yo, like it's just as bad to overstep a boundary with an addict that's as simple as not letting a addict who's in recovery and doing all the things, you know, continue to have the time and ability to do all those things as it would be as if you were a drug addict and you were trying to make me go get a bag, you know? And like that's the part of sobriety and recovery that they tell you have to be selfish in. Being selfish in recovery doesn't mean shitting on people. It doesn't mean doing things that are outside of like your moral compass. It doesn't mean being a bad friend or a bad brother or sister or a loved one. It just means considering those things like, well, okay, so can I afford to do this for that this thing that this person wants me to do? Can I afford to do it without fucking ruining my recovery? And if the answer is no, then you have to kind of, you have to make a better decision for yourself. And that's just what it comes down to. I never want to hurt anybody, man. Like my intention is never to hurt anybody. Now, when I was younger, I did a lot of crazy shit. I didn't have the understanding that, you know, not using clear communication with a girl that I've been involved with um would lead to her being hurt, or, you know, not showing up for a fucking family function would hurt my mother or my grandmother or my other family members or whatever, when instead I was choosing to drive back from fucking New York with like a quarter kilo of coke in the fucking car. I didn't have that emotional intelligence to realize that, like, hey man, you got to consider other people's feelings as well. And that's like there's a fine line between it, like considering your shit, doing what you got to do for you, but also having that understanding that, like, and giving a fuck enough to have that understanding and that emotional intelligence that's like, well, hey, how is what I'm doing affecting other people? And how can I, based on what I'm able to afford emotionally and from a self care standpoint, how can I, bring a better energy to this situation with this person or in this fucking scenario, I try so hard to like be able to accommodate for my friends and my family. But my thing is like, while I try to do that, there's people who are going to take it too far. There's people who are going to not understand. It's like, bro, I'm out here struggling right now. I don't have money to loan you. Just because you see me doing good, like in your mind, I'm doing well, you don't know what the fuck I'm going through. So don't try to like, bro, like I can't loan you money. Yeah, like okay, you're gonna give it back to me or whatever. That's what you do or that's what you say. That's cool, but like I can't do that because if I'm broke, if I'm without what I have, then what am I gonna do? I know myself. I don't do good broke. I gotta have money, man. Like it's just what it is. So like, no, I can't loan you this, but do I want to? Yeah, and I try to help people. You know, um, as you can imagine, that's just a situation that I've been dealing with lately. And I hate to say that I can't help you. I hate to tell you that I am unable to do something for you. So you're putting us both in like a very fucked up situation. And like I just think it's so important to like show people like the fucked up side of things. It's not all peaches and cream, man. It's not. And I work hard, for my shit. I work hard to have bread. I work hard to have the things that I need to have to be able to move how I'm moving. And I got 32 fucking felonies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 injuries, prior injuries, fucking way more than that, to be honest with you, but those are just some major ones. So like, I've got 32 felonies, 11 plus prior injuries, um, and enough emotional and damage and built up trauma to if you spread it out among an army, everybody be fucked up equally, you know. And I'm out here doing what I'm doing and what you see me doing, whatever that is, for better or for worse. If I can do it, you can do it. So do it. Don't ask me for a handout because to get where I'm at now, I didn't have nobody gave me a fucking handout. That's it. And like, and the people, well, let me not say that. Some people did help me, and I do appreciate that majorly. But I didn't ask for it because I wouldn't have. When I was in prison, there was times where I went without fucking the most critical shit. Shampoo, conditioner, fucking soap for 2 weeks because I didn't have it myself and I wasn't going to ask for it. Because to ask for it was to take it from somebody else, and that made me feel really uncomfortable, you know? Um so if you like, I have friends that like they see me doing this shit, friends that like I was in the game with. Like I had a friend named Tony, and Tony and me had been friends for a long time. And he was a connect back in the day, and so but he had fallen off because the cops were on him, and the heat was on him. He couldn't do anything. So at the time I was on, you know, I had a good connection in the dope game, and I had the work, and so I had heard Tony was the boss. People had told me about him, and I had the intelligence to realize that like eventually, if this person did it once, they're probably going to do it again. Like, I mean, for God's sakes, I know myself, right? And I've seen myself go up and down on the success roller coaster, where I've had times where I had a business that was making tons of money, and I've had times where I was a fucking strung out junkie in the streets, and they were definitely times that were like, up and down, man. That's just what it is. So anyway, I would give Tony shit every time I seen him. Give him money, give him product, try to get him on his feet or whatever. And years later, he got his shit together. He was doing very well. And when you're doing very well in the dope game, you get this like fucking ego. So right around that time, I was getting out of prison, and I'm fucking jacked, and I'm doing well. I don't do drugs. I'm working jobs. I got a business. I'm doing all this shit. And Tony sees it, and Tony's like, "Well, hey man, hey, I see you. I see you doing your thing, man. I'd really like to get on that with you, man. How can I get some of that for myself, basically, in so many words. And the first thing that comes to my mind every time is fitness because that's my foundation for everything that I do. And so I told him, let's get in the gym, man. Let's get in the gym. And it was just like a thing. Like you see me doing something, so you want to be a part of it. And I have that happen to me all the time. I always say that, like, if you want to get to a place where you're successful, get fucking fit. Get fit, get so fit that they notice, because when people notice, men are in some way intimidated by it. Um, Not that you want people to be intimidated, but that's just how people are. People are dogs. So when they are a little bit intimidated, like people are like a little bit scared to talk fucked up to you and treat you like shit, they treat you better. So, and of course, women like fit men. Most women like fit men. I mean, there's some women that are like all about the dad bod or whatever, but like 99% of women really are more into a guy that's fucking jacked, and fit. Um, and so, when you get buff, when you get fit, and girls, that's for you too. Like if you get fit, get in shape, uh, people just tend to want to be a part of that. And so I have that happen to me all the time. But like if you're one of those people that's watching me do my thing, and you want to be a part of that, you feel like this like urge to be a part of that, you got to know that like I do this shit on my own. You have to do it on your own. You have to figure out a way to make it happen for you. Like I didn't get like my detail company is finally starting to get up off the ground, and that's been with the help of my family and some very close friends of mine. um and I appreciate all of you. Like my gratitude is just through the fucking roof for everything that anybody's ever done, and even if it's just encouragement, like I so appreciate you. But it's finally starting to get off the ground, and the way that it got off the ground was I just went and took a job doing that thing that I do for my business at a place that does has the same action going on. It's a dealership. They have an auto detailing section. I am much more talented than just somebody who is just only can do auto detailing. But I knew if I got into the detailing section there and showed them what I can do, it would translate to more business, more people talking about the thing that I do, and that would just come together. And so I did it, you know. It wasn't fun, it wasn't glamorous, it wasn't a great paying job. You know, it turned out that it is around some very great people, people who have shown me so much love. Um, you know, and there's always love and hate in that, you know. You're never going to just have everybody love you or whatever, but the majority of the people have showed me so much love that I've been able to make money in my business. And now my business is starting to gain traction because people see that the work that I do is better than most, and they want that. And not only that, but I priced myself in where I'm competitive to every other detail shop around. That's what we do. We go in. I will work for a little bit less than most people around, and I will deliver a better service and a better product than the majority of them. And it will not be, my product and my service will never be any less than any of them, you know? And that's kind of my business tactic, you know? And that can work for anything. Um, as addicts and people with fucking multiple felonies, we have to do those kind of things. You don't necessarily have to, but it's one surefire way to get your foot in the door very quickly, and that's what I do. There is never going to be a roadblock that I'm not going to figure out a way to hurdle or dig the fuck under or blast the fuck through. One way or another, I'm getting this. I always say this, like, the train don't fucking stop. You can be on the train, or you can get ran the fuck over by the train, or you can watch the train pass. But the train don't fucking stop. And that's just that's the way that I think. That's the way that I move. So if you're seeing that, like, I can't give that to you. I can give you the game, and the game is free. And you can listen and you can kind of try to apply that for yourself, but I cannot hand it to you. And nobody can, and that's something that I'm having to learn too. You know, I've had people in my life who have money and they at least express that they want to try to, they see what I'm doing, they want to be either be a part of it or help me go further with it, and they want to loan me money and try to make things, like, you know, just help me progress things more or whatever. But I've learned that, like, you can't, that just adds confusion. The only answer to any of this is just hard work. Um and that's really what it comes down to, is just hard work and making it happen for you. And you can do that. It's not unavailable to you. Like, believe me, like, there was a moment where I thought for sure, like, yo, Pennsylvania is a motherfucker, man. I can't get a fucking job out here, man. Like, which is kind of crazy because I've always said as a felon, like, all these motherfuckers talking about they can't find a job is fucking bullshit, you know? But there was a moment when I was doing an interview a week and I was getting shot down despite 15 years of fucking incredible experience and incredible talent when it comes to my field. Uh, I was getting shot down, and I thought that. But then I kept going, I kept pushing, and eventually somebody gave me a chance. And now a lot of people are trying to give me a chance. I got people trying to take me from the job I'm in now and offer me more money than I've ever heard of a detailer making per hour, you know. um and it all happened because I was willing to keep pushing and pushing and pushing and fucking going after it, and that just will never stop in my life. So if you want to be a part of that, if you want to see that kind of result for yourself, just know that that's, like, literally what it's going to take. Like, you have to be fucking relentless out here, and I am, like, but I built that perseverance and that relentlessness over time, where the shit that I dealt with, I mean, like, I swear to you, man, like, I would have never expected that I was gonna have those experiences in my life. I would have never thought that I was gonna end up in those places and positions, but I did. And it was all part of God's plan, because today I am a relentless motherfucker who will not stop until I get to where the fuck I'm going. And I've never once in my life set out for something and not gotten it. If I really truly wanted it, I never set out for a thing and didn't have it happen for me. That's just the way that this shit is played out. And it's the way that I believe that it is for any of us. Like if you set your mind to this shit, man, you can make it happen. If you set your mind to this, I swear to God it'll happen for you. But you have to like want it more than anything else. And you have to have no doubt in your mind that it is for you, you know. That kind of takes me back to like when I was doing music back in the day, like it was so fucking crazy because like I got into music and making hip hop music because I had to write in a journal every day. And I fucking hated having to write in that journal because I was like 12. But a friend of mine told me like, "Hey man, what I do is I write rap. I write raps or whatever, and that's how I get away with writing in my journal. I don't have to write a big long thing. I just write rhymes or whatever." And they let me do that, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool." And he was like, "Here, I'll show you how." And he was kind of like, I don't remember exactly the lesson that he gave me or nothing. This cat was like 17, I was like 12, and we were in a group home in Erie, Pennsylvania. But I got into that and I loved it so much that I spent the next 12 years pursuing a career in it, in music, and from everything from like production to engineering, being an artist myself, later on into management and promotion. I got to work with some really great people. I got to open up for some really big names, and those experiences were just amazing. But the truth is, during that time, I never really felt in place. Like, I mean, you have to understand, this is the early 2000s. Like, being a white rapper, like, the only white rapper was really Eminem. Like, of course, Vanilla Ice, and he was somebody I got to open for. And he was just fucking one of the coolest people. Fucking Ice is one of the coolest motherfuckers on the planet. I still say that to this day. But basically, I didn't believe in myself because people were doubting me so much and people were saying that I didn't belong so much in this thing that I loved that it was never truly something I believed was mine or for me. I think on some levels I definitely like regret having those doubts. I wish that I was the person I am today while I was in that, but I hadn't gone through the things that I've gone through today and I hadn't learned the lessons that I learned today. So yeah, basically, I didn't fully believe it was mine, and because of that, I didn't get to the places that I really wanted to go with it, to the places that I really thought I could offer something on a bigger level. And it's funny because now these days I hear like people, I talk to people, especially coming back to Pennsylvania, and people are like, "Yo, weren't you that guy that made like that CD? I think I still got that CD. I used to listen to that one song on the CD over and over and over again." I'm like, thinking to myself, like, man, people loved it, and like I didn't know, you know. I just thought nobody gave a fuck. It was so crazy because people don't, and that's another thing is the lesson. People aren't out here patting you on your ass all the time. A lot of times you see, like, I mean, like even now, like on Facebook, like people watch my reels and don't comment or nothing. But then I have a conversation with them sometime down the road, and they're like, "Man, I see you really doing your thing, bro." That's fucking strange to me, but that's really how it is. I don't do that. I hate that so much that if I watch your reels, I fucking slam the fuck out of the thumbs up or the heart, depending on who you are, what you're putting out there. But I just think that's such a fucking weird thing to do, like just to sit in the background, like fucking watching me and not saying nothing. Like, bro, like say something. You got an opinion, like, or you just like a NPC out here, like a non-playing character or whatever. It's so fucking weird, but that's just how people are. People are not out here congratulating. People oftentimes, like when they see you doing well, they hate that shit. They're gonna hate on you, man, and they're not gonna give you love, and they're not gonna, you know, they're just not gonna tell you how they feel until fucking 20 years down the road, and when they tell you when it's too late. So don't let it be too late. Be assertive. Be confident. Know that like when you make that destination up in your mind where you're gonna go, know that it doesn't matter if anybody congratulates you or if they show their support. Because at the end of the day, like if when I really think about it, like if people weren't showing me love, if nobody ever shows their support for this, am I gonna stop? I can't stop because if one of you is listening to this and getting anything from it, then mission accomplished. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, God put this shit in my heart, man. Like I know that if I can get the real me out on this video and tell you the real things that are on my mind and in my heart, that I can change your life. Even just if it's just one of you, so you don't have to go there. So you don't have to go spend 15 years in fucking Seattle on the streets, nearly dead, dying, you know, going through hell. If I could just save one of you from it. If something that I can say, it'll resonate with you and make you have a better day, then that's even better. So what if, even if people aren't congratulating me, which that's not the case. I do have a lot of people that show me love and do appreciate, and kind of show their gratitude and shit. I do get a lot of friends talking to me and people that uh I never would have had certain conversations with. That ends up happening. Uh, so I do appreciate that, and just know that I do have gratitude for that. But I'm just saying, even if nobody did that, would I stop? And that's what I want you to ask yourself. Like, at the end of the day, if just because people don't want you to win, are you going to let that stop you from getting the things that you want? Are you going to allow people's negative energy? Are you going to allow that to fucking stop you from providing for your fucking kids, from getting to your goals, like any of that? Fuck that shit. Hell no. Hell fucking no. Not if you're a factor. If you're a factor, if you're a factor in your game, then you know that it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. It's all about you. It's all about what you're trying to get after. Like, I really don't give a fuck if you're sitting next to me in the fucking Corvette. I really don't care. You know what I mean? Like, when I get to where I'm going, when I get my Corvette, like, it's one of my dream goals. Almost had it last time. Ended up getting the fucking Beamer. I should have never done that. Don't ever settle. That's another lesson. But like, when I get into my Corvette and I start that fucking engine and I hear that beautiful fucking roar, I don't give a fuck if you're sitting next to me in it. I really don't. I'm still gonna go flying down the fucking highway, and I'm still gonna have the top off, and I'm still gonna enjoy it. And that's just how it is, man. I think that's a lesson for today. Is like, among other things, it's just, don't let anything stop you. Don't let anything get in your way. And you really have to, be okay with protecting yourself and doing what you got to do to be the person that you need yourself to be to get to those things. I want you to be encouraged. I want you to have a good day because you fucking deserve it. And this has been Factored In, Essential Game for the Modern Man, episode 5. Thanks for watching.